to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's Sunday, fastest Sunday of the week. My week went really fast. Did yours go fast? It is also the 30th. And am I mistaken, or is tomorrow already the 1st? Let me get my phone. Oh, dear. Oh, wait. Did somebody say something? Oh, no, it's here. Oh, yes. All right. Let me just see something. By the way, I love the post that you all send me, but I just want to listen to this one real quick.
So what? Huh? What? Huh? So? What? 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 So, well, did you? What? You know? Oh. So what? Huh? What? Huh? So? What?
All right. All right, guys. So we have a Saturn retrograde, and it's for 5 months. And for those of you that have been working on your spirituality, especially people on TikTok who are doing their best to feed people's soul, TikTok is sloppy. IG is sloppy, but I love the fact that spirituality has taken center stage, right? And so, for those creators that feed people's souls with information of any kind, I don't care if it's witchy poo, hoodoo, Yoruba information. I don't care if it's right. I don't care if it's wrong. I don't care if it sounds stupid, is the greatest idea ever told. I want to applaud all of you that is feeding the world, because you're cleaning up your karma, you're depositing things, and someone from your feed is going to get something from it, right? So, because of that consistency, you may breeze right through Saturn. Saturn has two parts to it, it's karma, and karma is good or bad. So, with that being said, for those of you who have not been working on your greater good, but believe you've done nothing wrong, there's a lot of people out there like that. And that's okay, right? Because you're not, no one, like, everyone can't be woken up at the same time. Your awakening could still be 3 years from now. I don't know. But what I will say is that I'm willing to help you figure out that you can't walk around thinking your shit doesn't stink, that you can't walk around being religious but being a bitch. Because the bottom line is, You know who you are. I don't need to know. You could lie to me all day long. You could tell me, well, Tracy, I'm the type of person, I'm just going to believe you because I have no measure in how you move. But just in case you want to clean up some karma, we're going to do a session. All right? I'm going to Zoom the session. I'm going to tell you all about it. We will do it tomorrow, even though Saturn is already here. But there is a way to clean up your karma. And basically, I'm going to tell you because I have no interest if you come to the Zoom or not. It's just apologizing. Just figuring out how ugly you've been. Figuring out how distasteful you have been. And the direction doesn't have to be to a particular person. It could be to an ideology that you have. Right? I can equate it to like someone saying the black jobs. Like that's a weird ideology that you have that I'm sorry, dude, you need to apologize for. And that's what I'm talking about. And so, known or unknown to you, right? Because your ego will make it unknown to you, but known or unknown to you, let's figure out some of our wrongs and let's apologize. And you will be completely surprised at how, if you apologize, karma will pass by your head. So let's do it tomorrow. I don't have the energy today. Today I got some readings. I'm going to take care of what I need to take care of. But tomorrow, and we're going to do it at 9 o'clock after the show. And whoever wants to join the Zoom link, come join me. All right, guys, if you want to know what the Zoom link is right now, let me know right now. But I will be talking about it today, talking about it 12 o'clock today, talking about it tomorrow morning. If I do an IG feed, I'm going to let them know. But it's okay to come clean up your karma. All right? Okay. How is everyone doing? Let me see who's in right now. Hi, Jelly Bean. Yes, it went by fast. July is tomorrow. I know. Hi, Angela. Also, if everyone could pray for the Caribbean, they are getting a storm that equates that to Florida. I don't think Florida got hit last year, so it must have been the year before. And it's a doozy. It's a doozy. No one is predicting anything other than, damage to certain parts of the Caribbean. You got it, Angela. So, please take some time out of your busy day and please pray for, I believe it's, let me see if I can find it again. These are the countries I want you to pray for, particularly. I know Barbados is getting a direct hit. Barbados is going to get hit hard. Let me see. I should have taken a picture of it. I listened to someone called the Weatherman, and he is the most responsible, to me, weather person when it comes to all this Caribbean stuff. Let's see. This is a long video, but he has never not been dead on with his history of the Caribbean. I love him. Okay, let me tell you. what countries to pray for. Barbados. Um, I forgot St. Vincent's Grenadine, St. Lucia, Grenada, Tobago, Martinique, and Dominica. So, and then hopefully, um, it winds up in the waters of the Gulf of Mexico. But the fact that it's so big and so wide, there could be other systems that could get caught out there with some uh, torrential rains attached to the hurricane, but not get hit by the hurricane. All right. So please, please pray for these people. Their homes are not made like they are in the States, child. Mm-mm. Alrighty now. Oh, I said 126, but I marked it off on 127. I'm so sorry, guys. Let's get to the book, page 127. And I don't know whose name this is. I'll just start reading. It was said that white people were hunting her father with guns and bloodhounds. She got a gun and went to stop them. In the middle of her pursuit, a voice called her name and bade her to look up. Go home and minister to God's people. On returning home, Masu picked up the Bible and easily read it. Until that time, she had been illiterate. Masu Atchison lived most of her life in LaGrange, Georgia. The eldest of 13 children, she raised her sisters and brothers. Their parents died sometime shortly after Civil War. Accounts are that she was around 40 years old when she began healing and teaching practices, which she continued until her death at the age of 101, or maybe 104. Stripes McWhorter lives in Carlton, Georgia. He was a student at West Virginia College and in constant physical pain. When he met Masu in 1970, a 7-ton truck ran over me 3.5 years before I met her. She rubbed my knee and said a few sacred words. The pain became bearable after my first visit to her, and she has been at that level since that time. Masu taught me telepathy 3 times over 10 days. I would wake up knowing things I had no way to know. And when I had an idea, I would wake up with the whole concept. Stripes knew it was she who had helped him. She had a young face, and it looked that way for many, many years. A woman was in a terrible accident. 3 physicians treated her, but 8 or 9 months after the accident, all the glass still had not been removed from her hand. Her pain was so intense, she could no longer work as a typist. Stripe met the woman's husband during the 8 or 9 month period. I said, I know of a psychic connected with the college. They drove to LaGrange to see Masu. That lady was not old, but she had aged with pain. She had wrinkles and a frown from pain. When she returned from LaGrange, her skin was smooth. Piece by piece, the glass worked its way out over 8 to 10 weeks. I witnessed it. Lori Ethel Squares was also among the West Georgia College parapsychology students studying with Masu in 1970. Lori befriended and stayed in touch with the elderly healer until she left the area in 1976. Ma Sue was 102 when I first met her. She never went to school. Ma Sue told me I can read anything. Lori took textbooks to her West Georgia College, and Ma Sue read them like an educated person. She was busy healing. Her yard would be full of Rolls Royces, limousines, people from all over the United States. People sent her letters every day. There was money all over the house. Lori remembers. When I came, Masu told her daughter, Jessie, let that little teacher in. I've been watching her in the fire. She lived in a little bitty black shack. She didn't want to move. Seems unconcerned about physical possessions and money. She continued to live in the same small, rundown shack even after she could afford a better situation. She outlived all her sisters and brothers. Hold on, guys. There's a lot of pictures here. I'll go over the pictures in a minute. She did a range of healings, including drug healings. She would work on every kind of disease. She would ask about the problem. She opened her Bible to Psalm 23 and laid her hand on it. She did not touch people. She would hold out her hand and quote the scripture. I think she traveled out of body a lot, Lori concludes. Some faculty members and students at the parapsychology department at West Georgia College participated in making a film entitled Psychic Saints and Scientists. Masu and witnesses to her healing abilities are present in it. Janie Veal, a parapsychologist, was a graduate student at West Georgia College who met Masu in the early 1970s. Masu didn't give readings. She was a woman who healed the heart as well as the body, Jenny observed. There was a presence about her. She was fragile, very slender, with not much hair. She wore braided. Her skin was medium brown. Her eyes were alert. She had beautiful hands. She would rub olive oil on your hands and arms, and she would almost croon and would talk about the things that were deepest in her heart. Masu always had her Bible. She talked in a sing-song voice. What's on your heart, she would say. She had you write down what bothered you. She put it inside her Bible. Jenny pauses, reflecting. The time I spent with her was magical. She was an extremely religious person, extremely gifted. She gave a person a wonderful feeling. I'm going to see if this video is on YouTube. Hi, Creative Soul. How are you? The making a film entitled Psychics Saints Hold on a second. Um, okay. I gotta send this to Ezra. This is so cute. Oh, let me send this to his mommy. I wonder if they remember this. All right. Oh, that's what I was doing. Why do I do stuff like this? I was looking up something. Psychic saints and scientists. Hmm. TISTS. Let's see. Oh, it's here, guys. Psychic saints and science. Well, there's several videos here. Let me see if I could put Masu. Well, there are three here. They're all very lengthy. I'll post one of them and then you guys can look at it for yourself. View channel. Um, View channel. Um, View channel. View channel. Okay, hold on. I have a new thing for moderators that YouTube. Okay, hold on. I have a new thing for moderators that YouTube. Okay, hold on. I have a new thing for moderators. Okay. Oh shit! Why did I do that? Oh my goodness. Let me save this to the reading list. Let me go back. And this is. I just posted in the feed for psychic saints and moderators. There are three videos there, but I don't know. Oh, you're looking at the pictures. Yeah. I was going to go over the pictures, but as I was turning the page, they kind of put the pictures all over the place. So we went, like Bakari only, we went over her. Alpha Omega, we went over her. Eddie Cabral, Mother Susie Booth, we went over her. Minnie Evans, we went over her. Oh, Minnie Evans, yeah, the one, the painter. Very odd painting, to be honest with you. Very odd. When we got off the feed, I studied and I studied and I studied, and I was like, okay, this is odd. Juliet Gatlin, Alpha Omega. Oh, she's beautiful. Um, Let me see. Fanny Bell, we went over that one. All right. I was going to go over the pictures, but now I don't want to. Nothing's really sticking out for me. I do like Pucara Oni. I don't know why. I have to go over that story again. Oh, and this is, oh, look at the last picture, Angela. This is Joyce Noel. Look at her. So proud of you for writing this book. Let me heat up my coffee. Also, my oils go back on sale either today or tomorrow. I haven't decided. And they will be discounted because I don't have the proper vessels, but I do like the vessel that I used temporarily. So they're going to go back on sale rather than hold everyone until, I have a perfect condition. I have to go and get my own vessel. Welcome to an. All right, let's get back to the book. Oh, send me her link. What? Send me her link. I'd love to follow her too. Just so you know, everyone, whenever I do candles for you guys, I shake up the chi by rattling a bell over the flame. And I think they really burned some really healthy candles for the public. All right, next one. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Angela. See if I can get over there live. Go to Tracy Brown live. See if I can get over there live. Go to Tracy Brown live. Oh, I just followed her. I just followed her. I'm so excited. Thank you. Wait, actually, I followed her, but did I? Did I do the right thing by her? That means get all her postings. All right. Sculptor Raymond Barth was has a photographic memory. He needs only to study a person's features briefly, then he can go home and reproduce his observations with preciseness in clay. I study the face on the subway, street, or stage, or someplace like that. I go home. I sleep all night. I get up in the morning. I get my amateurs ready and I get my clay. Then I move back to the last night and copy what I see, a mental picture. Bart's basic schooling ended with the seventh grade. He received no art training before his admission to the Chicago Institute of Art, where he studied from 1924 to 1928. His admission into the Institute was arranged by a Catholic priest who recognized Bart's remarkable artistic talent after viewing a painting. After viewing a painting of the head of Christ, which the youth had done. At one point in his career, Barth conceived of creating a sculpture of the Virgin Mary and was making plans to effect. He proposed to replicate her in a condition of pregnancy. I wanted a very beautiful young Jewish face of a girl. I had a Jewish friend. I decided I was going to use her as a model. I knew her height and everything. When I finished, I called Sandra. Have a surprise for you. I just finished doing a figure of you as the pregnant Virgin Mary. She was anxious to see it. She said, wait until I tell Otto. Sandra and Otto, her husband, had been wanting more than anything in the world to have a child, but they couldn't have one. This has been going on for 15 or 16 years. Sandra came over and was thrilled with the pregnant figure. I got the very likeness of her pulse, the spiritual aspect. A month or so later, Sandra called me. She said, I have news for you. I really am pregnant. She had a girl. She called her Eve. Eve is grown now. If Sandra had not seen herself life-size pregnant, I'm sure she would have never had this child. Wow, I believe that. So much shit I believe. I believe all of it, actually. Oh, I heated up my coffee and now it's too hot. All right, let me drink some water. All right, next story. Oh Lord, I will never take another bit of medicine while I live without you tell me to, vowed Amanda Smith in surrendering the state of her physical health to the will of God. I got up and threw out all my medicines. I had a few simple remedies in the house, and for a year and 8 months, I never touched anything. Oh, what wonderful lessons the Lord taught me at this time. She wrote in an autobiography, Amanda Smith, in the late 19th century. Spirit whispered to Amanda in a voice as clear and distinct as a person, warning her of risk to her health as she went about her daily living. I would hear the Spirit whisper, you are sitting in a draught. You are sitting in a draught. Often I've looked around to see if there was not really a person speaking. I would feel a pain in my back or neck or somewhere. Then I would at once look up to God and say, now, Lord, teach me the lesson you want I should learn, and do please relieve me of this pain. Sometimes he would bless me so, but the Lord knew how to teach me. Praise be his name. So at the expiration of a year and 8 months, I took a severe cold. I never thought of medicine. The Lord was my physician and done everything I asked for myself and my child for a year and 8 months. So of course he would now. So I prayed as a F4 time, but still grew worse. Oh, how dreadfully ill I was. But I held on. Oh, how I did cry to God for deliverance. For 3 days and nights, I could not lie down. My cough was so bad. I had a raging fever. My head ached and every bone in my body ached. And I still grew worse until the morning of the fourth day. I tried to get my clothes on, but could not stand up long enough. Oh, what should I do? Oh, how I cried and prayed. Oh, Lord, what have I done? Thou dost always heal me when I ask thee, and now thou seest I can hardly hold my head up. I am so sick. Now, Lord, I will just be quiet till thou dost speak to me and tell me what I have done. And while thou dost not heal me as thou used to. So I waited a few minutes, I don't know how long. Then it seemed as though the Lord Jesus in person stood by me. Such a peaceful hush came over me. And he seemed to say, now, if you knew the Lord wanted you to take medicine, would you be willing? No, Lord, you always have healed me without medicine. And why not now? What have I done? Then it seems as though a person spoke and said, no, no, no. But if you knew it was God's will, would you be willing? I said, no, Lord, you can heal me without medicine, and I don't want to take it. Then the patient, gentle voice said the third time, if you knew it was God's will for you to take medicine, would you be willing to do God's will? Oh, how I cried and I saw it. But I said, no, Lord, I don't like medicine, but thou can conquer my will. I don't want to live with my will in operation to thy will. Thou must conquer. It seemed wonderfully sweet to die to my own will and sink into God. So just then it came to me to use a simple remedy that I had used 1,000 times before. And in 24 hours, I was well as ever. I never got over a cold like that before in my life in such short a time. A cold like that would always be a 3-week siege. So, I don't know. This part right here is a little deep. I'll tell you why. You know, so this woman is sick, definitely sick, clearly. She's about to die to the point where she can't get dressed, she can't lift up her head. She refuses to take medicine to the point where she was willing to die because her belief system for a year and a half is that she would not depend upon medicine, right? So a spirit comes to her and a spirit says, take medicine. And she goes, no. But she knows it's spirit. And the spirit says, take medicine. And she says, no. And she says to the spirit, it's not God's will. But she also could have been talking to God. And then the spirit said, could you take the medicine being that it is God's will? And she said, no. Now, presumably, you would believe that this was a good thing, right? She stood her ground. She vowed never to take medicine. And ultimately, she remembered something and she lived. And presumably, it does look like by sticking to her guns and her vow to God to not take medicine, she did the right thing. right? But there's another story that I've been told over and over, and I love this story, where there's a flood coming, and the authorities are knocking on the doors, and they say, "Leave, there's a bad storm coming." And the person whose door they knock on, he says to them, "I will not leave because God will save me." So the water comes in, he's on the second floor, or the roof. No, he's on the second floor, and the boats come to rescue him. And they say to him, "Get in, let us save you." And he says, "No, I'm not getting in because God will save me." He winds up on the roof, and a helicopter comes and throws down the basket. And they say, "Get in, get in." And he says, "No, God will save me." Ultimately, he dies, and he meets his maker of his faith. And he says, "God, you've always been there for me. Why didn't you save me?" And God said, "I sent 3 people to you." So, going back to this book with this belief system with this woman, when one spirit came to her and said, let's just go over it again, because as I was reading, it was kind of bothering me. So I just want to make sure you guys understand the spirit of God, right? She says, "So I waited a few minutes. I don't know how long. Then it seems as though the Lord Jesus in person stood by me. Such a peaceful hush came over me. He seemed to say, 'Now, if you knew the Lord wanted you to take medicine, would you be willing to?'" Now remember, she says this is the Lord Jesus, right? And she goes, "No. You have always healed me without medicine. Why not now?" And then she adds, "What have I done?" Which is the wrong question. What have I done is a mental question, right? So she was mental at the time, but the body needed healing. So she had separated her mental ideology from what her body may have truly needed. And then she says it in a way where she felt victimized. What have I done? Meaning, what have I done to deserve this? Right? And I get that a lot in my readings where women have relationship issues and they always say, "What did I do?" And it's like, you don't have to do anything. The dynamic of the relationship just changed. Why? Why? Or what? And it's like, you can't ask those kind of questions. You just kind of have to accept that something in the dynamic of the relationship changed. And the person is allowed to change. Just because you don't want to change doesn't mean the person that you're with doesn't have to change. They change. Why could be any number of reasons. But even when you get the reasons in the tarot reading, you don't want to hear it because all you understand is, I have this ideology. I don't need to take medicine. I have a core belief system that nothing around me should change. When your world changes every nanosecond of your day. So she doesn't, when she goes, "What have I done?" She didn't do anything. Her body got sick. It's too, like, it doesn't even go together. What have I done? You didn't do anything. Sickness came on you. That's a whole nother spiritual, when we get sick, don't we all go in a spiritual space, right? We don't know if we're living or dead when we're sick. We will pass out for 10 hours, not knowing if we're going to get back up, or we stay in some weird dream state, right? Your body's just sick. You didn't do anything. It's not a punishment, right? So she goes, "What have I done?" And then it goes on to say, "Then it seemed just as though a person spoke and said, No, no, no. But if you knew it was God's will, would you be willing? And she said, no, you can heal me without medicine. I don't want to take it. Now, this is where the ego is stepping forward. I give her a lot of grace. There might be some delusion going on here in her sickness, in her virus. But she's like, no, I won't take medicine. You heal me. That sounds crazy to me. And just so unfair to God. Of course, God can heal you, but is there not a lesson that's different that could come out of this, maybe? That maybe God can heal you by the very doctor you need to see to get the meds? Do you see how, like, oddly selfish this sounds? No, God will heal me. Well, God will heal me. Go to the ER. And God will heal you through the hands of the doctor. God can heal you through the hands of the medicine. And then she goes on to say, then the person said the third time, changing the words up each time. This time it was very different. If you knew it was God's will, look how strongly they said, if you understood that it is God's will for you to take medicine, would you be willing to do God's will? And she said, no. Lord, I don't like medicine, but you can conquer my will. No, she goes, no, I don't like medicine, but you can't conquer my will. I don't want to live with my will in opposition to thy will. Thou must conquer. And then she added, it seems wonderfully sweet to die to my own will. You notice how she got back to what was God's will and what was her own will. Do you see the problem that I'm having here? It never was about God's will. It was about her determination to never take medicine. So it was never the God in her. It was her and her will. And she had decided to play God. Ultimately, she came to a place, she says, it seemed wonderful to die to my own will. Selfish. And sink into God. So dumb. So just then it came to me to use a simple remedy that I had used 1,000 times before, and in 24 hours, I was well as ever. I would be fearful of this woman, personally. This woman I would not trust. Because even in the end, she didn't say something to the effect like, God saw that I was not willing to take medicine, and then another spirit told me to take something else, which healed me. That's not what she said. She said, all of a sudden, I remembered of a remedy, and I made that remedy, and then I felt better. She became God. I wouldn't trust her. I wouldn't trust someone that is capable of having healthy conversations with God, and then when challenged, she can only believe on her own accord. Like, she didn't say, like with Jesus, when evil came to him and evil was like, jump off, Jump off the mountain, Jesus. Come on. You know your God will save you. Come on, jump. Jump. Jesus was like, get thee behind me, bitch. I'm not doing this with you. I have other things to do. This crap between you and I, not happening. I do God's will. I do not do yours will. But it wasn't even the devil that came to her. It wasn't even evil. She didn't even question that it was anything other than Jesus. Remember, at first she was very calm, very serene. Jesus had came to her. She saw it in her mind's eye. How do you not listen? This wasn't the devil. Jump off a bridge. Take poison. That'll kill you. That's not that. She knew exactly that it was the greatest of spiritual elements had come to her. She had had conversations with these spiritual elements in the past. And at some point, she just got stubborn. And that person I would not trust with my life. Let's see. All right. I really marked up my book, so if I ever have to go back to this page again, then usually I just put something, small, but I really marked up this section because I know I'm going to have to deal with this again. Some client is going to call me and I'm going to be like, let me read this to you because we are not about to play with somebody's health or your health. I already know it. All right. I've been healing since I was a girl, although no specific incidents come to mind from that period of healing. Mother Brown remains inspired when she recalls the joy of that day I received Christ when I was a little girl. The Lord told me to wear white a long time ago. He told me to get rid of all my clothes and wear these. She points to her long white dress and a cap. A respected healer in Durham, North Carolina, African American community. Mother Brown, now in her 80s, works in two ways: laying her hands, praying for healing over distance. She had helped many who were troubled by a wide range of physical and emotional ills. The only child left in the family of seven, she experienced fully the offerings of severe living in her times. She is well acquainted with plowing fields, chopping wood, and picking cotton. For more than 30 years, she has followed the divine direction to wear white, and in that time, she had held weekly church meetings in her home. She frequently burst into song, praising the Lord, and is carried into ecstatic moods. While in her late 70s, Mother Brown became the instrument of her own healing. I woke up with real strong pains in my arm. I heard a voice, the voice of the Lord, that said to me, I was having a stroke. Get out of bed and jump 3 times, his voice commanded. With great effort, she followed the instructions, the pain lessened, and with the completion of the exercise, vanished. Prior to one of the parishioners joining her church, healer Bishop Butler had come upon him in his makeshift residence at the city dump. He suffered from blood poisoning caused by an injury which had left both legs extremely swollen and petrified. Mm. He turned down medical care because treatment was to the amputation of both legs. I asked the Lord what I could do for his legs, and he told me what to do. Bishop Butler is the minister of the Beauty of Holiness Church of the Lord God in Creation, a spiritual church in New Orleans. The example of her work with this man is presented by author Michael Smith in his book, Spirit World. She returned to the dump to ask Frank Gilbert if he believed the Lord would heal his legs. The sick man replied that he did. Then I brought him to my house. I anointed his legs with hot oils. I prayed over it. Oh, Lord. Then one of his legs popped open like a hot potato. Ugh. And a kind of steam came out. I got 2 basins full of corruption out that leg. Oh, that must be so gross. My husband got frightened and ran out the house. I'd run out too. He thought I was going to be arrested for practicing medicine. So he took Mr. Gilbert to a doctor. The doctor gave him a shot and said to keep on doing what he had been doing. Then the legs began to heal. Ugh. Frank Gilbert attested to this healing, verifying all that Bishop had said. 2 basins? What? The sick Mary... anointing his leg with hot oils and prayed. Then one of his legs popped open like a hot potato. That... I got 2 basins full of corruption out of that leg. Gross. Gross. You know what I find very interesting though? Is that she said she got 2 basins full of corruption. Now, I understand corruption is the physical component of the disease that was inside, but come on. If you see something pop open like a hot potato and it's somebody's leg, I am grossed out. I never became a nurse. I worked in a hospital. I was a unit manager in a hospital. Didn't like what I saw. I'm not that kind of hero or healer. Could not stomach half the stuff that I saw. It was so bad. I couldn't stomach it. The tracheas, the blood, the coatings. I can't even tell you about the coatings because I was on a coronary care unit. So that's all we got was coatings. Yeah. I can't imagine looking at someone's leg. Not from the healing aspect. I appreciate that part of it. But from the part where in order to get the corruption out, it had to bust open. But how does the leg heal after that? Like, that's slime and gook and pus and, oh my God, coming out of it. But I also wonder with the word corruption, is that where corruption can lie in your body? I see a lot of people with corrupt, using her words, legs. Usually 2 legs. So and I wonder about that, right? My dad, as he got older, had corrupt legs. And I remember going to the hospital, and my God, he was a big man. So if he lost his legs, it was a wrap. And I knew it. And he's laying in a hospital bed. And for some reason, I pulled the sheet back to look at his ankles and his thighs. And it had become corrupt, meaning it was turning blue. And so I pulled the sheet back. He was sleeping. He was passed out. I pulled the sheet back over his feet. But I remember that my memory was, this was death. even though I didn't face death with him, but I remember saying this was death, that the blueness of his legs was creeping up because that's how death showed itself in his body, right? On top of that, he was a big guy. And on top of that, he was, the doctors said he would need to go to rehab because most likely he wouldn't walk or it would take forever for him to walk. But I saw death creeping in. So I was thinking, no, he's not going to rehab. That ain't happening. And I remember when a social worker came to me and my sister and she said, we're going to put him in rehab, but the way it's done is we take all of his pension, all of it. And my dad had railroad, military, and he worked for New York City Transit. And there was one more thing that he did: railroad, military, New York City. He got four at the time. He got four different checks mailed to him at the time. Remember, there was no direct deposit. And then, oh, and Social Security. So Social Security separate from his transit check, separate from his military check, separate from his railroad check, right? And so at some point, the city had a conversation with all these companies and they decided to combine two and twos. I think transit and railroad were combined into one check, and Social Security, and I believe, don't get me wrong, military was combined. By this time, he has direct deposit, he gets the notice, everything goes in direct deposit. But the man made absolutely amazing amount of money for his retirement. He was a really, really hard worker. And so the social worker came to us, and social worker was like, we're going to take all of his money. My sister looked at me and was like, that's bullshit. And I looked at her and I said, his retirement money is what he wants to do with it. It's his will. He made this money for himself. He didn't make this money for us to live large. So I told my sister, unless you're willing to take care of him in your house and wipe his ass and clean between his balls and brush his teeth and not understand that he's going to get body sores because you are not going to be able to do it right because you are not trained. And it doesn't matter if you hire people around the clock to take care of him, you are bringing on a headache. So, just so you can keep his pension, make sure it's worth it to you. Child, when I got finished with that speech, she was like, put him in rehab. I was like, don't do it. My dad was a big dad. There's no way you're going to keep him clean without a team of workers, getting to the crack of his ass so that he doesn't wind up with body sores. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. I do not need my daddy's money. My daddy can go to rehab and let that money be put to good use. And then he died. He never went to rehab. He died. And sometimes, unfortunately, sometimes that's the gift. Even though I didn't know it at the time, like you never know that death is a good thing. You don't see it that way. But in hindsight, and he's been gone over 15 years, I now recognize that so many things would have been remarkably different. I would have never have gone to California. I would have never gone. Or I would have never, I don't know if I was already in California. I would have never gone back to, it doesn't matter, because I would have been there to help my sister with my dad. So, Anybody else has any stories of corrupt? Oh, that was the other thing I was going to say when she said, I got 2 basins full of corruption. So then my question becomes, is that something we put in our bodies? Is corruption something that we take on? And does it come in a form of, purple legs that swell up? You could be the sweetest person in the world, right? Or you could know the sweetest person in the world that has a corrupt, you know, 1 leg or 2 legs. But corruption means to me, is there something that they did that was corruptible? Just because you know a sweet person right now doesn't mean that something didn't happen when they were in their early 20s when you were not around. And I believe corruption comes in other forms as well, right? Does corruption come in a form of disease, right? And again, this is the reason why I'm going over doing a session with Saturn in retrograde tomorrow at 9 p.m. Look out for the link, because if there are things that we have done, and we all have done things we should not have done, the degree of it is not my measure. So if you're 1%, I did something wrong, to 1,000%, I did something wrong. I'm not measuring the 1,000% against the 1%. It's your inner core that knows the difference. Some 1% people can forget that they did something so bad. But what if it's something like, yeah, I told that bitch off, or I chose not to speak to that bitch ever again. And what if telling someone off could have made someone commit suicide? So you're thinking, yeah, I told that bitch off, and you think it's a 1%. What if you don't know that your words cause someone to commit suicide? As opposed to 1,000% that killed somebody knowingly, went to jail for it. Do you see what I mean? Thank you, Bree. We've all fallen short, and we all have lessons to learn. Exactly. And so tomorrow, Saturn is in retrograde, which I started out in the beginning, and it's about karma, and it's about understanding that when we do something bad, karma's coming for us. Period. When we do something good, karma's coming for us. Period. So look to karma because of your deposits that you have provided. But if you've not started any deposits, or you're not sure, or whatever the case, I don't know, just come tomorrow and allow yourself to be free of your karmic debt. And I'll say it once, I'll say it again, because you may not be able to make the session tomorrow. It's as simple as apologizing. But you can't apologize all general and shit. God will laugh at that. Oh, God, I'm so sorry. I haven't been the greatest of person. Thank you for hearing me, God. No, you're going to have to say, I am sorry I treated my sister Terry badly. I am sorry that, you know, the last time I took my sister shopping. I don't know why I did this, but let me tell you something. I've been having guilt. We went shopping, and she saw a pair of slippers, and she put it in the cart. And when I got to the register, I took it out the cart, and I paid for other things for her. Why I didn't pay for this, I don't know. But I took it out. We get back home, and she says, "Where are my slippers?" And the look on her face of the betrayal. And I was like, "Oh, I put it back." And she goes, "Oh." Let me tell you something. I have been haunted. Haunted. Because I'm going to tell you something, my sister Tony has never done me a damn thing wrong. Not one damn thing in her lifetime. But she might call me a bitch, but okay. She has never done me wrong. And why I didn't go the extra mile for a pair of goddamn slippers? They were like some fluffy slippers with bunnies on them. Like, it was, broke my heart. Broke my heart to the point where I almost went back to get the scissors, but I was so tired I didn't go back to get the slippers. And so I really felt like I didn't commit. I didn't fully commit. So I'm gonna apologize to that when I get there. There's simple little things that we do that is like, oh, I don't want to pay for this. But what if it was everything to my sister? And I fucking messed that up. Well, I'm cleaning that shit up tomorrow. All right. So come join me. All right. So that we can understand what is the lesson in this. And I would say to you, me not following through with my sister, like, it was selfish. It was inconsiderate. It was unkind. So what part of me of that still lives in there? And why give it to her? Do I give it to her because it's easy? Because I know there's no shout back? Because I know she's of gratitude every time I show up? That's bitchy. And again, I'm saying this about me, right? So I'm not asking God tomorrow for some general, hey, hey God, here's one big apology, spread it out. You know who I did wrong. No, you should know where the apology is required. And I'm telling you, you're going to feel lighter because all we're trying to do is make sure the evil side of that bitch karma does not come to us, passes right over us. Oh, she prayed. Oh, she apologized. All right, let me go get this person. Yeah, I am not the one. So, and you know me, if I got to do it, you got to do it. If I got to heal, you got to heal. If I got to take the bitchiness out, you got to take the bitchiness out. We're doing this together. We ride. Lord have mercy. Wait, what happened? Who's this? Oh, hold on a second, guys. I got to take this phone call. Hold on. Sorry. Oh, sorry, guys. Okay. So let's get back to the comments. Um, let me see. Okay. Oh, by the way, when my dad also wound up with swollen legs and it was turning purple. And what I can tell you about my dad, in terms of like the wording, I got two basins full of corruption out that leg. What I can tell you about my dad is that I loved him. He was my dad. I don't believe that he was always the best person out there. So again, when she says corruption, is that something that forms inside of us and eventually comes out like swollen legs, purple legs, kind of like a poisoning inside of us. So I loved my dad. I thought he was the greatest thing since sliced cheese. Other people did not love him, and maybe they had good reason, right? I know I've had people try and tell me about my dad, and I would tell them, kiss my ass. You don't get to corrupt my mind against my dad. As a dad, he is great. As a person, unless he committed murder, I don't want to hear it. Because whatever it is you are complaining about my dad, why did you let him in? What was your ulterior motive? Because at some point when you saw it, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you take care of yourself? And I think that's why I'm so like staunch when I speak with my women, because everybody wants to be like, oh, the man did me wrong. He did me wrong. And it's like, no, you sat in that mess. No, 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 no. And I'm not talking about abuse. Abuse is a whole nother um, abuse is a whole nother mental game. I'm just talking about people that know that they are dealing with a down low man. Like, it. And all you can say is, he did me wrong. Mm-mm. You're doing yourself wrong. So don't talk about the man unless you can talk about yourself. All right. All right. Let me see. My gift was great until I found God. Then it became greater. I realized after I was saved how to use my gift with greater consciousness. I prayed to God to let me go as far as possible with my gift. Betty Combs is a healer and a psychic who, in the course of her career, has given readings to movie stars. These celebrities include Eartha Kitt, Frida Payne, Fred Williamson, and Vince Edwards. She has an ability to see through people's bodies with X-ray vision as they sit before her. She can detect in the body the sites where an individual had operations even many years earlier. People with afflictions may be in Betty's presence or at a distance while she transmutes healing energies to them. I'm able to detect physical illness. I can diagnose what part of the body that illness is in, she informs. While attending a party in 1979, Betty became aware of the entertainer Lola Falana, who was also present, had an acute physical problem. I took her aside to tell her what I saw. The tumors seen by Betty had already been surmised by the celebrity's physicians. I told her to go ahead with the surgery. She would be all right. Later, in a medical follow up, 15 tumors were found in Falona's stomach. I worked with her after the operation, and she was able to move about and do exercises very soon afterwards, which surprised her doctors. I only use trance if someone has a serious illness. I only do that if it's an emergency. I'm able to relieve a person of pain by taking the pain into myself. Oh, hell no. And I get rid of the sickness by praying. The most disquieting part of her work is in the transferring of illness from her clients, oh, hell no, into her own body. But as she reads selected verses of the Psalms, the negative energy dispersed. In the dream state, Betty has full blown, vivid, and clear visions, which often come with a short time. She is conscious of continuously working in activities in the spiritual realm. She knows that her gifts make men reluctant in seeking her company, that people in general tend to be uneasy around her. I no longer live for the things of the earth. I am not into the needs of the material body. I am alone, I say with God. Okay, I do want to tell you about healing. And under no circumstances do you accept someone else's disease inside of your body. If you have a body that can break down somebody else's disease, that's beautiful. But at some point, there's going to be a disease that you cannot break down. So, as a healer, when you are taking something, you transmute it to the ground. You transmute it to the ground. When I heal, especially if it's a little child, I always let children touch me. I don't touch them, right? So if they're in their mommy's arm and the mom's back is to me, but the baby is trying to reach me, I get close enough for them to touch my elbow or touch my shoulder. I say to the child, take what you need to heal. And then, let's say it's on my left shoulder, right, which is where we receive things, right? With my right hand, I am sprinkling like to the ground, getting rid of anything that the baby does not need. It doesn't mean I know what the baby has. I know that if the baby is touching me, the baby wants to be healed from me. I do not need to know what the baby has or what the baby's about to get. I know that when they're reaching out to me, they're reaching out to the light that they see in me. And so I take that opportunity to make sure that they are not, if they are inflicted with something, I push it out. If they're going to be inflicted with something, I push it out, right? But I would never absorb it. For those of you that become healers, I would never take it in. And then the other thing that you could do if you go into healing, like let's say it's a purposeful thing and somebody comes to your house and you're healing them, have a bucket of water and put the energy that you are taking out of someone and placing it in the water. So, and you don't even have to touch the person. You could heal, like, you know how, like, it's Reiki? For me personally, I would never do Reiki without water. So you would take and you would take out what the person needs. And the person could be anything. It could be mental illness. It could be heart disease. It could be a blood disease. And you could take it out, but put it somewhere. And if you're in a closed place, you're not outside in the ground, which would be much better to heal outside. Make sure you have water there. The other thing I want to point out is do not believe that everyone wants to be healed. Remember that some people like the attention of not healing. So you might have grandma that has cancer, but what if grandma has not been around? What if grandma's family has not been around? all of a sudden she gets cancer and everybody shows up. Grandma's not going to want to heal. Grandma's going to say automatic stuff. Oh, Lord, please take this from me. Oh, Lord, let's go to everybody. Let's go to church. Grandma has decided this cancer is the best thing since sliced cheese. I ain't never going to heal because I've gotten love for the first time in years. So be careful. Be careful. Not everybody wants to heal. And again, that goes back to a mental thing. Grandma don't know that she's acting this way. So when you're healing someone, you have to say to them, was taught to give it to water as well. Right, Angela? I was taught to visualize and anchor energy roots from my feet to the crystal core of the earth and give all the worries and illness, excuse me, through that root to earth's crystal core to clear and transmute. Right. If you're near a tree, give it to a tree. You could take the root out of someone, hold on to a tree, transmute it into the ground. There's so many things you could be doing besides taking it on. Now, I'm not saying she wasn't wrong. That's how she was taught. As we advance and develop and diseases get so much more ugly, oh, hell no, you don't want to take that shit inside your body. All right, guys, I'm going to go because I have a reading to do. I love you. I am coming. Hi, Lisa. I am coming back on at 12 o'clock with Sky. And we're going to do, I forgot what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about something. All right, guys, I love you. I thank you. You were the best. Goodbye. Call me for your own personal readings. I am available today, 213-458-7408. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Gals and guys, go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live. Go to Tracy Brown Live.